If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after, and the truth never harmed anyone. Criticism is an inevitable part of life. Whether in our personal relationships, workplace, or public endeavors, we will all face judgment from others. While some criticism is constructive and helps us grow, other criticism may be unfair, harsh, or even malicious. How we respond to criticism can define our character and influence our success and happiness. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, offer profound wisdom on how to handle criticism with composure, rationality, and grace. By applying their principles, we can learn to use criticism as a tool for self-improvement rather than a source of distress. Let's explore the Stoic approach to handling criticism and how we can apply it in our daily lives. Why we struggle with criticism. Criticism often triggers emotional reactions because it challenges our self-image, our beliefs, or our actions. Some of the most common reasons why criticism affects us include ego and pride. We instinctively want to see ourselves as competent and correct. Fear of rejection. We worry about losing the approval of others. Misinterpretation. We assume all criticism is an attack rather than an opportunity to improve. Lack of emotional control. We allow anger or defensiveness to override rational thinking. The Stoic mindset teaches us to detach from these emotional reactions and approach criticism with wisdom and self-discipline. The Stoic perspective on criticism: control what you can, accept what you cannot. One of the fundamental Stoic principles is the dichotomy of control. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Criticism from others is outside our control. We cannot stop people from having opinions. However, how we respond is entirely within our power. Instead of being consumed by anger or hurt, we can choose to remain calm and assess the criticism rationally. Consider the source and intent. Not all criticism is valuable. Some come from wise and well-intentioned people, while other criticism comes from ignorance, jealousy, or malice. Ask yourself, is this person knowledgeable and credible? If so, their critique may be worth considering. Are they trying to help or just trying to hurt me? A mentor's feedback is different from an online troll's insult. Does this criticism align with my values? If feedback challenges you to be more virtuous, it's worth reflecting on. If it's superficial, it can be dismissed. Marcus Aurelius said, "You always have the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul." If criticism comes from an unworthy source, the best response may be no response at all. Extract the truth, ignore the rest. Even harsh criticism may contain a valuable lesson. Seneca advises, "He who fears being criticized fears being corrected." Rather than rejecting criticism outright, the Stoic approach is to analyze it objectively. If the criticism is valid, use it as an opportunity for self-improvement. If the criticism is false, let it go and remain indifferent to it. A Stoic does not let ego stand in the way of personal growth. Respond with virtue, not emotion. When criticized, our instinct might be to retaliate or defend ourselves emotionally. The Stoics teach that a calm, measured response is always superior. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Instead of arguing or lashing out, respond with patience, reason, and dignity. If the criticism is unfair, your character and actions will speak louder than words. Detach from praise and criticism alike. The Stoics emphasize that both praise and criticism are external judgments that should not dictate our self-worth. Epictetus warns, "If you wish to be free, do not desire anything that depends on another." We should not seek approval from others, nor should we be devastated by their criticism. True confidence comes from within, from living in accordance with reason and virtue. Practical exercises to handle criticism, like a Stoic. Criticism can sting, but for a Stoic, it is an opportunity for growth, self-reflection, and practicing virtue. Here are 5 powerful exercises to transform the way you handle criticism. Pause before reacting. Master the art of self-control. The moment we hear criticism, our emotions often surge. Defensiveness, anger, or even embarrassment. A Stoic, however, does not allow emotions to dictate their response. Instead, train yourself to pause. Take a deep breath. Let the initial wave of emotion pass. Remind yourself that you control your response, not the words of others. If necessary, excuse yourself for a moment to reflect before replying. Marcus Aurelius advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By mastering this pause, you take control over your emotions, rather than being controlled by them. Ask yourself, is this true? The Stoic filter for criticism. Not all criticism is valid, but some can be valuable feedback. Instead of reacting emotionally, apply rational analysis. If the criticism is true, accept it with humility and use it as a tool for self-improvement. Even the harshest words can contain wisdom. If the criticism is false, let it go. Just as you would not be offended if someone falsely accused you of having 3 arms, do not be offended by untrue words. Epictetus reminds us, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. By analyzing criticism objectively, you turn it into a learning experience rather than a personal attack. Reframe the situation, see criticism as a gift, not an attack. Most people fear criticism, but what if you could see it as a tool for self-improvement rather than a threat? Try this mental shift. Instead of thinking, "Why are they attacking me?" think, "How can this make me better?" Consider that criticism reveals blind spots you may not have noticed on your own. Even if poorly delivered, there may be a useful lesson hidden inside. Seneca wrote, "No man was ever wise by chance. Growth requires effort, and sometimes that effort comes from facing hard truths." Practice indifference. Let go of unfair criticism. Not all criticism deserves your attention. Some people criticize jealousy, ignorance, or personal bias. In such cases, practice indifference. Remind yourself that only your judgment matters, not the opinions of others. Visualize the words as leaves in the wind, passing by without affecting you. Say to yourself, "This is just noise. It does not define me." As Marcus Aurelius said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." By detaching from meaningless criticism, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. Maintain your composure. Respond with logic and virtue. A Stoic never fights criticism with anger or hostility. Instead, respond calmly and rationally if a response is necessary. Choose your words carefully and with dignity. If criticism is unfair, correct the misunderstanding without arrogance or resentment. Seneca teaches us, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Every time you handle criticism with grace, you strengthen your character and move closer to wisdom. By practicing these 5 exercises, you will build resilience, wisdom, and inner peace. Criticism will no longer feel like an attack, but rather a stepping stone toward becoming your best self. What do you think? How do you usually react to criticism? Would you handle it differently after learning these Stoic techniques? Real-world applications of Stoic criticism management. Criticism can either break a person or make them stronger. Those who adopt a Stoic mindset see it not as an attack, but as an opportunity for growth. A leader. Under fire, a prime minister's defiance against public backlash. Imagine a prime minister implementing a controversial reform, a policy aimed at long-term economic stability, but painful in the short term. The media erupts with outrage, protesters flood the streets, and even close allies question the decision. The pressure to reverse course is immense. A weak leader might crumble under the weight of criticism, bending to public opinion for short-term approval. But a Stoic leader remains steadfast, focusing only on what they can control: their reasoning, their integrity, their ability to explain the decision with clarity. Example: Margaret Thatcher, as Prime Minister of the UK, faced relentless criticism for her economic policies. Dubbed the Iron Lady, she refused to yield to public pressure, famously stating, "Watch your thoughts, for they will make your character." Though her policies were unpopular at the time, they later contributed to economic recovery, proving that principled decisions often outlast temporary disapproval. The professional facing brutal performance reviews Howard Schultz's Starbucks struggles. A young professional eagerly presents their ideas in a meeting, only to have a senior executive shoot them down. Their hard work is dismissed as impractical, and they feel humiliated in front of their peers. The temptation to retreat into self-pity is strong. But Stoic does not let ego interfere with growth. Instead of seeing criticism as an attack, they view it as free coaching. What can they learn? How can they refine their ideas and approach? Example: Howard Schultz, the man behind Starbucks' global expansion, was once rejected more than 200 times by investors when pitching his vision. Each no was an opportunity to improve his pitch, sharpen his strategy, and prove his resilience. Instead of taking rejection personally, he treated it as feedback. Today, Starbucks is a multi-billion-dollar brand, built on persistence in the face of relentless criticism. The power of handling criticism well. When we handle criticism wisely, we gain emotional resilience. When we focus on self-improvement rather than defense, we grow stronger. When we detach from external judgments, we gain inner peace. A Stoic does not allow criticism to dictate their emotions. Instead, they use it as an opportunity to practice wisdom, courage, and humility. Final words of Stoic wisdom. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. It is not events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. A good character, when established, is not afraid of being observed. Conclusion. Criticism is an inevitable part of life. No matter how virtuous, skilled, or well-intentioned you are, someone, somewhere, will always have something to say. You cannot control their words, but you can control how you respond. Most people let criticism wound them, allowing it to stir anger, doubt, or insecurity. But Stoic sees it differently. Criticism is not an attack on information. Sometimes it's useful, revealing areas where we can improve. Other times it's baseless noise, unworthy of our attention. Either way, suffering from it is a choice. True strength lies in not letting the opinions of others dictate your inner peace. If the criticism is valid, take it as a lesson. If it is false, let it pass like wind through the trees. Your worth is not measured by what others say, but by how you live according to your principles. Seneca reminds us, he who does not know how to be criticized does not know how to live. The real test of character is not in avoiding criticism, but in facing it with wisdom, patience, and composure. So the next time someone criticizes you, ask yourself, will I let this control me, or will I use it to grow? The choice is yours. Reflection. Questions for you. 1. How do you usually react to criticism? Could a Stoic approach help you respond better? 2. What is one piece of criticism you've received that helped you grow? 3. How can you practice detachment from both praise and criticism?